if you roll a 20, you're screwed.
Well, quite literally, from what I'm fucking seeing here, the fucking evidence is piling up here. You and Chili are in cahoots to get me anally raped by a horse.
Well, you said you would welcome it, so it's not a rape if it's consent.
Well, you know. I always go under the impression if you act like you enjoy it, they don't hassle you.
Because I want to test my goddamn microphone, but I can't, so thank you.
Alright, we're streaming, guys.
Yep. Yeah, I know. I'm streaming too, and I'm trying to see if my mic is working, and it is not.
I can hear you.
On my stream?
Test.
Oh. Oh, Dave, are we going to wait for your son before we kick off, or is you going to do the same as you will do for Amy?
He is on his way home right now, so he can join in. We probably will not be past the character introductions and whatnot, so we will we'll go ahead and start now. So thank you everybody for coming to the game. This is my first time dungeon mastering, as you guys know, and there's going to be some screw-ups along the way, I'm sure. I don't know every single tiny rule of the book, and nor I want to know every single, nor do I want to know. So I want this game to be I don't want this to be like a 3.5 game or a 4.0 game where you're just buried in rules and rules and rules and rules and charts and charts and charts. This game is not going to be like that. I can assure you that. So what we're going to do is we're going to have fun. We're going to play the entire world of Forgotten Realms and other games as well. If you want to explore other things, there will be other options down the line. I love D&D. I've always loved D&D since I was a kid. So this kind of, you know, seeing that I haven't played in 20 years, this is going to be fun to kind of relive my childhood as an adult now. So, plus my son's been bugging the shit out of me for, you know, years to play D&D, and I just never really did it. But then that I met all of you, so that kind of, you know, everybody here is a semi-fantasy geek, so I figured I'd try to probably get a game together, and here we are. So I'd like for this to last for a good while, not just 1 or 2 campaigns and that's it. And down the line, if we want to play other editions, other games in general, I have no problem with that too. So, but we'll do it as a group, and we'll make decisions as a group. So, but that's enough about me. But anyway, our campaign is going to be taking place within the Forgotten Realms, and we're going to be using the Dungeons & Dragons Classic 1.0 rules. Basically the 1980s, middle 70s to 80s edition. Plus in 1991 or 92 they released a box set with the Rules Cyclopedia, and that is what we're going to be using. So there are some house rules. The house rules of pretty much all our characters rolled 5d6 minus 2. We also have, regarding character sheets, I want everybody to control your character sheet. I mean, it doesn't have to be to the, I don't want, I am a stickler for encumbrance. Now, because I want this to be realistic to where, oh yeah, you know, Gregos has 14 two-handed longswords on him. No, that's not going to happen. It's impossible to carry that much stuff. So, but if it can fit in a backpack, if it can fit into a bag, or later on if you guys want to get a wagon or build a ship or anything like that, that's a whole different story about encumbrance. But whenever we're traveling, you know, it's 100 coins per point of strength. We all know that. There's been a little bit of difference with a couple of people, but it's my rules, it's my house rule, and that's the way it is. 100 coins per strength. We already know that. So we're going to go to criticals and fumbles. In my game, it is a 20 as a crit, and it is double damage. So if you're rolling your sword damage at 1d8 plus 2, you roll 1d8 plus 2, and you will double it. We're not going to roll any critical charts. We're not going to roll any charts to see if you get hit in the arm, if you get hit in the leg, if you get hit in the head. No, that shit's not in this game. Fumbles, if you fumble, just know that something is going to happen, no matter if you hit somebody else with a ranged weapon. If you, like when we were goofing around the other night, Jeff rolled a 1, even though, Jeff, you weren't here. Your character rolled a 1, and you stumbled gracefully and knocked yourself out for a round. That's the kind of stuff I'm going to do. There will be repercussions for rolling a 1, believe me. So, and criticals are, like I said, double damage. Now, let's go to our spell books. These spell books, we've kind of modified, especially the Druid. I didn't think that, especially because Matt showed some concern about the Druid class. And this morning I looked, and Magic was definitely right. And I feel the Druid was kind of set short a little bit in the Rules Encyclopedia book. So we went ahead and pulled other spells out of the basic D&D Eldritch Wizardry book from 1976, which was the white box set. We actually modified that to where he can have the Druid spells out of there. I also gave him the option if he wanted to use spells from Castles and Crusades, but he neglected not to, because Castles and Crusades is basically like 1.0 D&D. So he decided to stick with D&D, so he's got a different spell line now. Actually, it's the same thing, but with some more things added. And I feel like the Druid is now up to where it should be as a Druid, not just a cleric going to level 9 and then having to do this ridiculous quest. And we put that into his backstory as to, how he became a Druid at such an early age instead of waiting to a certain time in life, and blah 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 and blah blah blah, but that's for later. So that's about the spell books. And then I also gave the Druid, the Mage, and the Cleric a daily at-will spell. Now what this does is it eliminates all of the clerics and the mages that I've ever played with in D&D at level 1 through 3 always takes Magic Missile and Cure Light Wounds. Well, I wanted to eliminate that and give them an at-will to where they can cast Cure Light Wounds or Magic Missile at will, so that gives them the possibility to cast other spells like the floating portals, hold portals, and other spells like that. Light for the cleric, the Druid can predict weather. I just don't want every level 1, 2, and 3 Druid and Magic user to cast Magic Missile. I want them to do other things, basically, is what I'm saying. So we've already gone over the restrictions on that, and it's not going to be like a game where you have an endless mana pool to where you can just continually cast, especially out of combat. In combat, your deity is not going to mind. But when you are out of combat, and if you do that, that's when repercussions, and you'll probably lose that ability. But if somebody is in the negatives, if somebody is out, yes, you can cure them. If we're out of combat, you can stabilize them, but you just can't keep healing them up to full health anyway. So that's a house rule. That is, I think that's, also the maximum hit point rule. The reason for this is I want the characters to have max hit points at all times up to level 9 or 10 or whatever level they stop gaining, their D rolls per level. And the reason for this is monsters. When I roll monster encounters, if it's a D3 monster, that monster is going to have 24 hit points. So I'm not rolling the 8-sided die 3 times to come up with hit points. The monster is automatically going to have max hit points. So in turn, that's going to save me time, and also it's going to help you out in the long run, so you don't have a GIMP character with a bunch of 1s and 2s, and then you're stuck with a 12th level character with 15 hit points. I don't see how that's going to work. Also for movement, the map, the actual realm map is accurate to where each grid is 120 miles, and you can use the ruler to drag anywhere. But the unfortunate thing is the ruler starts in the middle of a grid. So, if you want to go anywhere, Alt. That's okay. Well, Alt or whatever, you can do it. So, okay, yeah, Alt does work. So, I did not know that. So yeah, I learn stuff every day. But like I said, this is my first time doing this, so it's kind of a learning thing along the way. Thank you, Magic. Mr. Rule. Anytime we have any rules, we're just going to ask Magic. We're just going to call Magicpedia. Magicpedia, can you give me an answer? That's going to be good. And as for movement and combat, as in, I will switch maps now to another point of our campaign. Now, this map has obviously has smaller squares. So the movement, you are going to be able to have basically 2 actions in a round. You can either cast a spell, you can attack, but at the higher levels you will obviously get more attacks. So, basically what I'm saying is you can move 4 squares and attack, basically, is how movement in this game is going to work. You're not going to be able to go from, where Izzy's at, to where past Grigo's at. We're going to keep it to where I'm not worried about the feet, I'm not worried about the numbers part, I'm just worried about grids. So you can move 4 squares and still get off an attack. Alright? So that's how that's going to work. I have to add Zaref's miniature back because I didn't know he was going to be with us tonight. So there you go, your miniature is back on the board. Okay, as I said, your character sheet. Your character sheet's important. That is the record of the life of your character. So keep the encumbrance updated. It doesn't need to be to the exact decimal point. I don't even want to see any decimal points. That's just going overboard. But
too late.
Well, that's on. If you use arrows, if arrows break, deduct them from your inventory. Keep your money, items.
The silver is a tenth of a gold piece.
Okay,
whatever.
well, let's keep it to coin weight, and also about XP. I'm not going to keep track of your XP for you. If you forget to add your XP, you're out of luck. You're going to be shit out of luck, because I'm not going to remember. I may write it down in a log or something like that to keep track how much I give for this week or that week or whatever. But if you forget to mark down your XP at the end of the night, because I'll give XP at the end of the night. I'm not giving XP after every single kill. This ain't World of Warcraft. And there ain't going to be no question marks over people's heads or exclamation points or nothing like that. So you guys got to explore around. But I think that's about it for the house rules. Now, next, let's go ahead and do our introductions. So I want you guys to tell us pretty much your background and your story. And when we get through with that, then I will go ahead and we'll start the game with the story of where we're at in the game. So, Gregos, go ahead. We'll just go alphabetically down the list. So you can go ahead and Gregos and tell us who you are, what you're about, and blah 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 blah.
All right. If anybody's watching knows us from Neverwinter, I'm Chili 1179 in Neverwinter. My real name is Mike. My character's name in the game is Gregos. A human fighter, which in classic, that's all they can be, I believe. I'll read the background of his story, I guess. He's the son of a stable owner. He learned early in life that hard work is the only way to get ahead in life. He was raised in the shadow of Neverwinter. Never really went into the city very much. Always stayed out in the outskirts with his family. He had first-hand knowledge of goings on in the city, even though he'd never been inside of it. When he was really young, his mother went into the city to go shopping and never returned. Don't know what happened to her. Don't know if she ran out or what. But his father would never let him go in to look for her. Now he's an adult. He's looking to get some adventure and some experience underneath his belt before he tries to get into the Neverwinter Guard, and one day he hopes to be a protector of the king. That's pretty much his backstory. He's been visiting Neverwinter for a couple of months now, going to all the seedy bars and taverns, learning the ways of the adventurer.
All right. Thank you, Gregos. All right. We do not have Izzy here. She will be joining us in another 45 minutes or so. So, Mr. Jeff the Halfling, you're up.
Okay, so my name is Jeff in the game as character and in real life. Just it's also Jeff, just not spelled the same. Let me start with my story. Found as an orphan halfling baby on their steps, Jeff grew up in a tight-knit halfling community in Calmport, dreaming of exploring the lands of Faerun. Once old enough, but his nimble fingers to work, Jeff started as a minor thief of a minor pasha, saving up slowly to raise enough money to effectively escape Calmport intact. The years slowly racked up into a decade until Jeff saw his opportunity. By bribing a few guard officials to go undocumented, Jeff left the North Gate in the cool dark early morning of a midsummer day with the set of plainclothes, 2 small spears, a backpack, and a sturdy pair of boots. 3 weeks later, a grubby and incredibly tan Jeff appeared at Neverwinter, a bit pained but nonetheless happier for the journey, though missing his spear, all his arrows, and his boots. A story that will never be heard. Spending 10 gold in the week in an inn watching people in Neverwinter and adventurers pass by, Jeff saw his chance at an adventure in a group of adventurers with a weird-looking druid in it. It's the only way I could actually denote what group. Asking to join, Jeff was delighted by the words yes, and was told to meet back in around 2 weeks, which I spent preparing. At the end of the 2 weeks, the group went to begin their fun, to be continued.
Like any other things, like what part of the world you're from, or
Calmport.
You're from Calmport. All right, that's right. Calmport is at the very southern edge of the left side of the Forgotten Realms map. So.
Yeah.
All right. So now we have Purist, our cleric.
Alright, so my name is Nick in real life, and I am Purist, as he just said, in the game. And I'm our cleric, and this is my backstory. Purist is a hardworking, road-worn, committed cleric. He grew up in Askelhorn, living with his small family. Sworn to the order in which he had grown up in, he had spent most of his life in the service of the Omniscience, the All-Seeing One. But then, at the age of 19, he had to flee from the city when a battle broke out between demons and devils, summoned by wizards there. His parents and siblings were slain in the battle, and the city was destroyed. He and other survivors with him followed the prince of the city, Simbril Astalme, to seek refuge inside of a dwarf fortress, the dwarf fortress of Sundabar. He continued to worship the Omniscience with the few brothers and sisters that had survived the attack. His was a holy struggle, and so emmed was he in his duty that he never questioned it so long as he had the strength to fight for his beliefs, and the valor that comes with youth. But over the long years, his elders who were slain in battle at the hands of evil demons were buried in graves at the side of muddy tracks. As his brothers and sisters fell in battle to evil creatures that refused to bow to the Omniscience, as his own squires were killed by ambush, plague, and bad water, he began to question the meaning of his vows. After deep meditation, he left the fortress with his brothers and sisters of the Omniscience and set off on his own in a trek across the Forgotten Realms in search of adventure and answers to many questions. Then, when he reached the city of Neverwinter, his trek had meaning at last. He came across a group of adventurers looking for a cleric, so he took the offer up and joined them on their adventures. And there can be no question that the glorious powers of the Omniscience that imbue him and give his companions such strength in battle are real beyond any doubt.
Nerd alert! Nerd alert!
He's got my vote.
That was it. That's
Wait,
that's
he's
a
not
good
through.
story.
Chapter 2.
Sorry. That was a good story. Obviously, I guess it's because you're a
Yeah, well,
Dota 2
well
fan.
thought out. Better than mine.
Yeah, I read it and was like, "That's my boy." I didn't write that either, so I was like, "Wow, he
Better
writes
not
better
have.
than me." All right, now we have Satharian, our druid. So magic, go for it.
Yeah, my real name is Donald. Help to the druid in this game. Name's Tarian. My backstory is not as well as described as any others, but I'm gonna read it anyway. So it's like a journal. So it starts like this. 3 days ago was my 18th birthday. Father and mother offered me a wonderful present. Freedom. Although they had not fully what word are you reading there? Condoned it, they allowed it. My father told me to never return until I become one with the forest. Then it's going on. Finally, it was about time. I was so sick of all that nature protection stuff. I wanted to explore the world, see a huge city crawling with people, to live my dream of becoming an adventurer. So I've gathered my belongings, again my mother, shook hands of my father, saddled and battered my trusty steed. Then I galloped as far as possible from the druid circle I hate so much. So 2 days have passed without a single trace of civilization, but strangely enough, those years of survival training in the druid forest paid off. So on the morning of the 3rd day, I came across a road leading to a huge bridge where the forest ends. On that bridge, there was a guard named Grygos, who ordered me to state my business in the city. So I told him that I was looking for an adventure, but I think he misunderstood me because I'm now reading this journal behind bars. I guess somebody will come ask me question soon. I'm worried about my horse. And that's it. Sorry for the accent.
You're fine, dude.
Yeah,
We
drop the
understood
accent.
perfectly. Yeah. Now you need to make your character speak like a Russian. Now you need to do that. So, and if you don't, I will dock you XP. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, well, my druid language is perfect. It's only my common, I'm not used to that common language.
Well, I want to hear you speak full Druidic whenever it's time to roleplay that. So, all right, thank you,
let's
Mr.
leave
Whoa. All right, now up is Samoro. Samoro the Rogue. Well, sorry, Thief in classic.
That's right. My name is Samoro, and my real name is Aaron. I am playing the Thief. This is my first ever D&D game, so be gentle with me. I'm a delicate wallflower. And I'll just go through my story with you all. Samoro was sent to do a job which was a big score for the Thieves Guild. My mentor, Restelin, entrusted me and 3 other hopefuls to retrieve the Jewel of Azure Lullaby from a secured noble's house. However, what started to be a simple robbery quickly went sour. It would seem that Restelin, my mentor, had sold me out, and we were captured by the noble. Our trial was swift, and we were sent to the Deep End Mines, a mining prison for such men as myself. My time there was spent 4 years exact, and it was hell on earth. For it was run by the Wizards of Grey, whom, for their own purposes, experimented on myself and the prisoners, or I should say my prisoners and myself. Many of them were left addled, but somehow I survived the torturous experiments. Knowing that the chances of ever seeing the light of day again were slim, I conspired with other prisoners to escape. Taking the role of a Wizard of Grey, I managed to bluff my way out with very little combat. I gathered, with the amount of prisoners in the compound, that I wouldn't be missed. And although I am now free and presumed dead to the Brotherhood of Thieves, My mind dwells on revenge against Rastalin and revenge against the Wizards of Grey and the darkness they subjected me to. Dun dun dun!
So it sounds like it's
Okay.
nothing but vengeance with you.
Perhaps. We shall see.
Alright. Thank you, Mr. Samaro. Let's go with Vey now. She is our magic user.
Yes, I am Vey, and before this is over, you all know me as the Destroyer of Faerun.
Whoa.
That's right. And I don't know how old I
I
am,
kinda like living.
so don't ask. And I assure you, I'm younger than you think. Also, I don't know who my parents are. The first person that I remember is a wizard. He said he found me abandoned in the woods, and he raised me and taught me magic. And ever since he died, I've been moving around from town to town, doing odd jobs here and there, until I met these guys in Neverwinter.
Alright. Now, the city where you were found from the wizard, do you actually have a city name, or have you forgotten that as well?
No. The wizard's name and where we used to live, I don't want to share right now.
That sounds good to me. I can deal with that. So, alright, thank you. Now we're going to go with our last character that we're going to introduce, and this is going to be Zareth the Drunken Dwarf. Every party needs a token drunken dwarf, you know. So Zareth, you're up.
So that would be me. I'm the Drunken Dwarf. I used to be a member of the Shadowhammer clan, and I was feared for my ability in battle. But ever since I failed to protect a large vault from a major assault by goblins, I am a drunkard. Aside from that, I spend most of my time out looking for trouble, which is never far, and I live in Neverwinter when I'm not out looking for trouble.
Nice.
Alright. So, thank you, Zareth. Now, I'm going to go into a little bit of a backstory about where our characters have been the last few months. First off, we are in Neverwinter, and this is a point in time where Neverwinter is it's pre-Cataclysm, pre-Chasm, all that other good stuff, and Neverwinter is a sprawling city. I mean, the population is over 20,000. It is still the true jewel of the North. The city's lots of trade going on with surrounding cities, Waterdeep, Longsaddle, Mirabar, and also in the archipelagos, it also supplies the keeps there as well. Our adventurers have kind of came together just by hanging out, and can you guys kind of chill on the pings? Sorry about that, it's kind of messing me out. Sorry. Well, our adventurers have kind of been doing odd jobs around Neverwinter for the last, I'm going to say about the last 8 weeks or so a couple months. And nothing major, just manual labor, some work at the docks, collecting some payments and, the other areas of Neverwinter. So, but there has been some, well, actually I'm going to go back to where Gregos, he's always wanted to be in the Neverwinter militia / army, whatever you want to call it. So he has actually registered, and they are training him. And one day, he was on duty on his post at the one of the southern bridges, and all of a sudden this guy just comes up and wants to, because when you come into a city, and if the guards don't know who you are, they will question you. So one guy came up to the bridge and started saying that, "Oh, I'm here for adventure." So Gregos is going to let him go. I mean, no big deal. That's what a lot of adventurers say. But At this time, the captain on watch in his tower actually notices that this is one of the druids that lives in the woods that has actually been protesting